Hey everyone, my name is Sogat Nepali, and today I'm going to present you a presentation I have made, and it's about the 2024 Nepal floods and landslides. It occurred on September 2024. Yeah. So I'll show you the some of the pictures from the landslides and the floods. So on the left side, we can see a tourist bus to be exact, which came under the debris from the landslides. It occurred on September 29, 2024. The location is Chaple Khola. It's in Thating province of Nepal, and it killed 35 people in this event. And on the right side, I have a image of a house that's getting swept away from the flood, and it's takes place in riverside communities near Kathmandu Valley, which is the capital city of Nepal. And both of these events occurred on the same day, which is September 29th, 2024. And it killed almost 200 people, like maybe more than 200 people. And on the next slide, we can see the top is the Kathmandu Valley, and the second picture is also within the valley, but like outskirts of the major city. Um, can see the landslide occurring on the. You can see the landslide occurring on the house. Between the house, it has swept away some lands. And on the top picture, you can see the Bagmati River, which is the central river that flows from Kathmandu Valley, and it is the one sweeping away the communities between the river and like outside of the river as well. And the title of this slide is Devastation Unleashed. So in late September 2024, Nepal had experienced one of its most devastating natural disasters in recent history. Um, it was a torrential rainfall from September 26 to 28. So it rained for nearly 2 days straight, which led to floods and landslides across the country, which resulted in significant loss of life and property. The heavy rainfall began on September 26, which caused rivers like Bagmati, which I said is in Kathmandu Valley, to overflow. By September 28, widespread flooding and had overwhelmed urban and rural areas. With landslides further escalating the situation, the Kathmandu Valley was particularly hard hit, experiencing its worst flooding in 5 decades. The total estimated loss all over the Nepal was amounted to Nepalese rupees 46.68 billion, which roughly converts to $350 million in damage, which includes agricultural land, public and private properties. So on the next slide, I have some reports from the eyewitnesses and the area which were flooded by the flood of 2024. So this image of the map of Kathmandu, or sorry, map of Nepal, was generated by ACAPS project, and this was generated on October 7th, 2024. And the all blue districts, like the blue area you see, is the flooded area. So at this time, central region and eastern region of Nepal was affected due to unprecedented amount of rainfall on 27 to 28 September, which resulted in flash floods and landslide, which displaced 8,400 people, and the death toll was more than 200. So here it says 27 to 28 because the 26 to 28, the date was for Kathmandu Valley, and after that, uh, 27 to 28, so like around a day is estimated for all over the country. And in recent years, Himalayan reasons, which include Nepal, have experienced increase in weather conditions, and Nepal is most at risk of experiencing extreme rainfall by 2100 AD. The heavy rainfall started mostly since 2020 AD. I was in Nepal when the flood started. It has gotten worse by the years as the rainfall is getting more intense as year passes. So I lived in Kathmandu Valley and I had experienced the starting of the rainfalls and floodings. It was not worse. Usually it just came up to the like 1 meter or 2 meters below the bridge, but now it's like overflowing and destroying the houses and all. So on our right side, we can see a person crying. His name is Biswaraj Khatka, a 52-year-old male, a cook and a resident of Lalitpur, which is in Kathmandu Valley. He said after the continuous rain for 12 hours and the Noku River was getting dangerously close, and that's when he felt vibration in his living room. So Noku River is also a river that flows through Kathmandu Valley. It's smaller than Bagmati, but yeah, it, I hope you get it. He left the house with his family. He had barely managed to stuff money in his pocket, and soon, after 15 minutes later, his house collapsed. The rain continued for another day, causing more floods and landslides in surrounding areas. This photo was taken on October 1st, so after the whole floods and landslides, where everything settled down, where he is crying after seeing the devastation of his house, which is in the background. So he's a cook, and in Valley, it's very expensive. The houses are very expensive, and I can feel how he feels devastated because his earned hard-earned money all was swept away by the floods. And on the bottom, we can see some children playing near a house which was destroyed by a flood in Lalitpur. Flood and landslide. It was near the river, but the flood caused the landslide, so the area was collapsed. On the next slide, let's talk about the geology of Nepal. So, Nepal is located between two giant plates. So, Eurasian plate and Indian plate. The types of boundary is called convergent boundary, where they are like pushing each other, and it also is a part of the Himalayan tectonic zone, one of the most seismically active regions in the world. Compression is the force present. The Indian plate is moving north towards the Eurasian plate at a rate of 5 centimeter per year, and thirds and reverse faults are given in compression plate boundary type. The most recent major earthquake happened in 2015, and the epicenter was Gorkha. It was a magnitude of 7.8, which was caused by a slip along the main Himalayan thrust. So on the bottom image on the left side, we can see the epicenter of earthquake, and on the top you can see the two plates that are like converging. So there are several major active faults like main frontal thrust, main boundary thrust, main central thrust, South Tibetan detachment, and Gorkha, which was the epicenter of the 2015 earthquake, is located approximately 100 to 150 kilometer north, or 62 to 93 miles north of the main frontal thrust. So let's talk about the landforms. There are three major regions in Nepal: Himalayan, and then comes mountainous region, which consists of hill and valleys, and then comes Tarai plains, which are the plain areas. Nepal is a landlocked country, so there's no lands that's touching seas. So the biggest reason is hill and valleys. So on the first image on the right side at the top is Mount Everest, and the second one is Kathmandu Valley, and the third one is Tarai Plain. It's a I don't know where it's from, but it's in Nepal. So let's talk about the geologic features. There are three major rivers like Kosi, Gandaki, Karnali. So the first image is Kosi. It is the this right here is Kosi. It is like the most popular river in Nepal, which is used for raftings and all. It's fun. I have not gone rafting, but I have swam in one of the rivers. There are also glacial lakes like Rara and Tiliso. The one at the bottom right is Rara, and on the top is Tiliso. And these lakes are prone to glacial lake outburst floods due to climate change. And Himalayas are made of metamorphic and sedimentary rocks like quartzite, phyllite, limestone, and etc. Hills are made from sandstone, conglomerate, and mudstone formed by river, and Tarai is on consolidated and alluvial deposits brought by Himalayan rivers, making the region highly fertile but prone to erosion and flooding. On the next slide, I'm going to talk about the human influence on the disaster. So first, I have placed an image of deforestation, which degrades land as well. And the second is unplanned infrastructure development. So there are many, I don't know the amount of population, but there are many people living in Kathmandu Valley. So the houses are like stuck together, and it's not like here in the US where there's good planning. Um, yeah, so on the right, you see how congested the houses are. So that's how it looks in Kathmandu Valley. Some places there's like town plannings. It's getting better for like newer areas, but older areas is all compact. And the third reason is climate change, obviously, and the fourth reason is poor adaptations or preparation. We are not adapted well in Nepal for the disasters that may come soon. And next slide, I'm talking about the lesson and how to overcome this issue. So one will be reforestation and land management. We should be able to plant more trees as we cut them down. And second, sustainable urban planning, like the one we have in US. Um, um, and we need an early warning system, a system like Amber Alert or any system that just gives you a warning if there's anything happening. And fourth is emergency alert system. We know whenever an earthquake occurs in Nepal, oh sorry, in California, you get notified on your phone like 10 seconds earlier before it hits. So we need a system like that in Nepal as well. And climate change adaptation measures. So we need to be more aware about how and what to do when this type of event occurs. So next slide, I'm talking about geologic research. So first topic is impact of unplanned infrastructure on disaster severity. We learned how poor infrastructure makes situation worse, so that's how it also occurred. And preliminary loss and damage assessment, the need for enhanced disaster preparedness and resilient infrastructure to mitigate future risk. We need to create that. And assessment on flood. So flood help us understand how to perceive the disaster and highlights the urgent need for better awareness, strong infrastructures, climate change adaptation strategies. And what do we need to do to overcome this issue or make it cause less damage? We need to have a good infrastructure planning, have early warning systems. I think that's the must. And climate change adaptation. So, on the next slide, I'm talking about government and community efforts. So, government has declared disaster zones at the time, and since then they have like created infrastructures regulations for newer houses that they would create. And secondly, how community helped. So, school-based shelters were made, making temporary shelters because most of the schools have like grounds there, so people just set up their tents and live there, which is much safer than living in a house that might collapse anytime, And people are working on getting enhanced early warning system set up, but I don't know when it comes, when it will be available. And yeah, so in this map, you can see these are the elevation of the Nepal and the major rivers that flows through the whole country. Yeah, and these are some community people helping the people who are stuck in their house due to flooding and taking them to a proper place. And this is also one example of emergency center. Okay, so next slide. I'm going to have a conclusion. So, the cause of disaster was intense rainfall, the terrain as well, deforestation, and climate change, and damage and human impact. There were lots of lives. People were displaced, homes were damages, and there was a huge punch to the economy of Nepal. And we got to learn about the geologic and tectonic settings. Nepal is mostly prone to earthquake. It's believed the earthquake occurs like every 100 years, and landslides as well. And lesson learned and adaptations. We need to create a early warning system or alert system, and we need to have a good infrastructures which can withhold the disasters that may occur and future risks and implications. We, due to the climate change, we know that the risk or the flooding can occur till 2180. So it's nearly like 74 years from now or 75 years. So we need to be well prepared. We need to have good awareness about what's going on and how to solve this issue and how to make sure many people don't get hurt or killed or their property doesn't get damaged by earthquakes and floods and landslides, by all type of natural disasters. And learning from past disasters will help Nepal build a safer and more resilient future for its citizens. So yeah, this is the ending of my video. If you need to check any of these articles out, I have um, s- uh, added the link to those articles and where I got the information up from at the description of this video. If you want to check it out, do so. Yeah, thank you.